Little ducky coming through, speaking truth, unabashed, calling out the liars, debunking falsehoods with a blast. I ain't afraid to say what's real, won't ever hold back. Gonna shake the system up, turn it all off track. I see through the smoke, the mirrors in the disguise, expose their hidden agenda. No more room for their lies. The truth is my weapon, I won't let it be concealed. I'm the voice for the voiceless, no longer gonna yield. In a world full of deception, I'm here to set it straight, bringing justice to the forefront. Won't accept their twisted fate. They may try to silence me, but my voice will still prevail. A sparking revolution, it's a truth-telling tale.
And see what this nonsense is. I downloaded, so it shouldn't matter if internet connection is bad or not. I should just be able to stream it because that's something you can do with YouTube Premium. But sadly, YouTube Premium does not save us from all of Chris Cuomo's ads that he does in his videos. So, while you're coming in, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn those notifications on so you know every time we are uploading a video, as well as I put it out on Twitter at Loud Little Ducky. You can follow me there. All right. Oh, bring it up, present, share screen. All right. Okay. Oh, I think I'm going to have to move myself. Hello, Bruce. Hello, Razmataz. Okay. Yeah, we'll just do that. All right. Tropical summer background.
Steve Shirilla, thank you for taking the opportunity. You took a big sigh when we first
let me know that y'all can hear it.
Where are you right now in terms of your head and your heart?
You know, I'm disappointed. I'm frustrated. I'm unable to help my daughter personally, and I should have been yelling and screaming what we're going to talk about right from the start. And
no, he shouldn't.
It was one of the mistakes I made during her thing, is that I should have been shouting and saying what I know and what I feel is the truth. And I was advised by her lawyer not to say anything, keep quiet. And
yeah, the lawyer's smarter than you, Steve.
So,
well, all I can do is give you the opportunity and go through what we know and the questions. So let's give people a little bit of context. Life before the crash was what for you, Steve?
Happy. I had my daughter. We were a family, a normal family. You know, nothing. I went to work. I came home. I talked to my daughter. I helped my daughters. I pretty much, you know, a normal.
And as I said the other day, he said daughters, the very last one, but it was normal. I had my daughter. I helped my daughter. You have 2 daughters, Steve. 2. Mackenzie's not the only one. I feel so bad for Mackenzie's sister.
normal family in America. I mean, that's the best way I can put it, I mean, being that I've been vilified, that I'm some horrible parent, that's not necessarily true. And it's unfortunate. So,
What were you doing? What was your occupation?
I was an art teacher at a Catholic school.
And the documentary, just to skip a little bit,
Okay.
after the documentary, is it true that the school put you on leave?
Yeah. They got a bunch of calls from some watchdog website or something. And the school's known about my daughter and how I feel right along.
I'm sure they knew that you thought your daughter was innocent. The sister is older than Mackenzie? I thought she was younger. There's been so many mixed reviews on that. But and if she's the baby, it makes sense too why she's treated this way. But the school knowing that you think that your daughter did this by accident and you advocate for smoking weed of students because your daughter was a student, she was underage, you saying you don't have a problem with weed, not really a good model for a teacher at a Catholic school. And they're not renewing his contract. He says in this interview he wouldn't renew it anyways because of them. Good. I hadn't heard about that, but Sharon Kobach says Steve is a real jerk. He lies. He was no witness. He was removed from hearings and not allowed in the courtroom because of the outbursts. And listen, I think weed should be legal. I think there should be restrictions on it, just as we do other things. But, at the end of the day, do I think children need to be using it? Absolutely not. But that's funny, Sharon, that you say that, because he's like, oh, yeah, the lawyer didn't want me in there. Doesn't sound like that's what happened. But this is why we need transparency in the courtrooms. And so we need to see what this was so that they can't go around spinning these narratives. It also keeps, out corruption and things like that, but it gets to the truth. It shows the evidence. And the only thing we have for sure is the sentencing. I mean, we can get transcripts and stuff of the proceeding, but anyways, let's get back to this jackass.
For the past 4 years. But they decided to come to some kind of investigation, which I really don't think was much of an investigation. It was just, they were just trying to get me out of the limelight. And so they don't seem bad. So I don't know. It's unfortunate how the diocese handled it.
Are you working now?
No,
The religious school. What are you talking about?
I'm on my contract to the end of July. And my understanding is they're not going to re-sign me for the next year, but I wouldn't have re-signed with them anyways after how they've handled this. They've just made matters worse, so.
No, you've made matters worse yourself.
Unfortunate for me. So.
Do you think that you'll be able to get another job easily?
I don't know.
Not in teaching.
I haven't tried. I got the summer. We'll see. I might not ever teach again. I'm a good teacher. I'm a passionate teacher. To be canceled by the mob is just sad and disappointing.
How often do you get to speak to your daughter?
Quite a bit. Quite a bit. We see her twice a month. And we talk to her quite a bit.
How would you,
unless she's on visitation
her
restriction,
disposition and how she's doing?
phone call restrictions?
She's in jail. She's doing. She's she's in jail, so she's struggling with that overall. But I mean, she's in jail. What every day is the same day for her.
She's in prison.
I don't know.
Not jail,
She's surviving.
prison.
How do you think she's handling herself and this situation and the media?
I think she's handled herself well in the media and stuff. I don't look. She's in jail. I don't know what everybody expects her to be. I don't know what you would expect her to be.
A rule follower.
She's doing the best she can. Yeah.
Me crying and accepting if you're are and what their perspective is on what their future is. Do you think your daughter sees a life after this? Does she think she's going to get out?
I believe she sees a future. She's about to take classes, start taking some schooling. I mean, it's jail. I'm not in there, so I don't really know how it all really works and how it is for her every day. I can only guess, but
you don't have to guess.
Overall,
she tells you what it's like.
That's the best way to put it.
Has she had any trouble?
I just have to guess.
Define trouble. Does she
fights?
No
drama.
No.
Being
there's drama.
Solitary.
No. Having her.
Now, we went over the disciplinary records the last time when this video was not working, but we haven't seen her put in solitary on what we've looked at. We haven't seen her in a fisticuff fight. We've seen her be mouthy. And of course, there's drama. People who were inside with Mackenzie have spoken about some of the drama with her. Girl loves drama.
Altering her clothes kind of stuff, or just being out of place. They have to be in a certain area at certain times. Sometimes she's out of place. I'm not in there, so I can't say for. She's not violent. There's no fighting. It's not like that at Marysville.
What do you want us to know about the allegations made by the ex-inmate who says she was your daughter's lover and that your daughter has girlfriends? What do you make of that?
I don't know anything about that. I'm not feeding that. It's not what I want to be here to talk about. I don't know. I can't speak for that. You can't believe everything.
Every time he looks up, he is speaking to Natalie because they don't do these interviews together always. This one, Natalie was invited to come on. She didn't want to be on camera for whatever reason. I don't know if it's because of the backlash from the week prior, her doing that video interview that we watched. But she's saying stuff to Steve.
You hear?
Let me tell you why I ask. I don't care if your daughter has girlfriends or not. Doesn't matter to me at all. However, if I were her parent, I would know.
It doesn't matter to me. She's in there.
I mean, not necessarily, Chris, because
nothing
she didn't want to tell you. If your daughter didn't want to tell you, you wouldn't know.
Look, she's almost 21 now. She's been in jail for almost 4 years now. I mean,
4 years and still
she's doing the best.
Can't get her shit together.
There's nothing I can do or say that's going to.
She has 11 more years to go before parole possible
at this point.
Let's talk about that. And just so you know, Steve, I don't know what you know about me. I have no agenda here. I'm not here to judge your daughter. That's already been done, right? I want to understand things that were left very open-ended and that are conflicting.
Okay.
However, I will give you the opportunity to deal with judgment. The reason I asked the question about what you know and what you don't is, as a father, and we have kids the same age,
exactly.
Aren't you supposed to think that what you say will matter to your daughter and that you should know and you should have some kind of hand in her major decisions?
Yes, of course. But she ultimately makes that decision. I mean, I can just be there to advise and be there for her. And if she's got questions, and help her. I can lead the horse to water, but I can't make it drink, So I was.
When she was a child, you could.
17, I raised a strong, fierce, loyal kid.
No, you raised a
who
bully.
didn't like bullies, who stuck up for her friends. I mean, I thought I was
No,
doing a great job.
she was a bully.
She's got a big heart, and I know as soon as I say that and this goes out there, the trolls in this world are going to crucify me like they've been, which is part of the reason why
trolls,
I wasn't sure about
people who
coming on
don't like
coming on this
murderers.
podcast. She's got a big heart, and as her father, there is no way that my daughter crashed that car on purpose to hurt Dominic or Davion. It is an absolute story narrated by the prosecution. It's not true. It never has, and there's no evidence.
How do you know that?
Zero.
How do you know that it's a story? Because Mackenzie supposedly doesn't remember what happened. And we have the evidence. Maybe her intent wasn't to kill, but her intent was to wreck that fucking car, which in turn did kill. I mean, we don't know what her intent was. But she was gunning it over, close to 100 miles an hour with no braking after having controlled driving.
Evidence to support any of that.
There is evidence that we can discuss if you want. It's interesting. You leave your daughter out of that equation. Do you think there's a chance she crashed into that school to hurt herself?
No, not at all. Not one bit.
Mackenzie is too selfish for that.
She loved life.
Your daughter was not suicidal.
Not at all. Not at all. We even had somebody after the crash did a like a suicide test on her, or a questionnaire with her, and that person said that she was not suicidal. And if my daughter was
meant
suicidal,
that
my wife would know
that Dawn was going to lose her, would she have been?
My wife talked with my daughter about everything. My daughter told my wife everything. There's no way she wasn't suicidal before. She's not suicidal after. That is an absolute fabrication. It's a lie.
A big understanding from people is that when it comes to you and your wife, you were too permissive, too lenient, too nonchalant. In general, what do you make of that? And then we'll pick it apart.
Hello, BRB.
We got some big hell.
We're not saved on YouTube Prime from this.
Life. And how do you say anything about me? How are you judging me without knowing me?
We judge you because you do these fucking interviews. And for the words that come out of your mouth. And Sharon, she has Rosie and Bubba, who were in the Crash, the documentary on Netflix. But if you watch Mean Girl Murders, that one, there is a girl that went to school with her that is not saying she's a fun-loving person. She doesn't sound like a fun-loving person. It's her way or the highway. She thinks she's better than everybody else.
Was I lenient on some things? Yes. Was I harder on some things? Yes. I was raising my kid how I felt best at the time that I made decisions. I'm not a bad parent. I picked fights that I felt would help her, and I picked fights that I didn't want to fight with her, and I let her go, and I made her make her own decisions. And
that landed her in jail.
Adult, she's almost 18 at that point. My daughter was a lot like me. I learned things by doing them, and rather than being told, don't touch the stove. I had to go touch the stove to figure out that it was hot, not that I was told that it was hot.
That's because you're a
analogy,
dumbass.
I guess. If anyone that knows us knows that we weren't doing all that. We were. I don't know. It's laughable that the people think what they think about us, and if you're not in, and I look at it this way: if you're not in my boat, then it really doesn't matter what you think as the people.
Your boat has a hole in it.
Anyone that doesn't know me should keep their mouth shut. Personally,
you seem very
you
bothered
should
by
keep
it,
your
though,
mouth
Steve.
shut about this.
I am a fighter by nature, and
that's probably where Mackenzie got it. This first.
No one would be happy about this. It does bother me that this is overshadowing what really is going on with my daughter and what went on during the trial and the bind-over trial and the lack of evidence. That's my problem with this. What's happening with me is just smoke and mirrors. What the stuff against my wife is smoke and mirrors. It's nonsense that has nothing to do with how the Cuyahoga County Prosecution's Office failed to prove that my daughter did this with purpose, prior calculation or intent. That's it. And then,
they didn't, though.
Well, not to jump around too much, but I will argue to you that part of the reason that the prosecution was able to make that case is because of choices by your daughter's team with what they didn't make the case. They left the THC in her system out of the equation.
Absolutely.
And certainly the prosecution didn't want to argue diminished capacity because they want the hard crime. They want the intent, and they had the data. Your counsel ostensibly picked a bench trial.
Yeah, well, no.
We'll talk about.
That's not true. What happened was, me and my wife were not allowed to be in there with her when she made that choice. I told my daughter to do a jury trial. When he asked her, she said jury trial, and he strong-armed her and told her, "You're going against my best judgment." Blah blah blah. And
Why?
He felt the judge wouldn't be biased. He thought the judge who had been sitting on that bench for as many years as she had would be fair, and that's not what went on.
She was fair when it came to the law. Because in the end, the judge was still going to sentence her. So the jury would have found her guilty too. Maybe the jury would have picked manslaughter. But the intent thing that he's saying there's no intent, the thing is they proved intent with her driving around that area prior to the crash that nobody really needed to be in. Your daughter was driving that route. Now, there's rumors on Mackenzie's side that was a shortcut, but the defense didn't put anything up to rebut that. No, that her driving around a few hours prior to this incident was not a premeditation. It's a shortcut and another way home. She takes it all the time. And here's the data from Life 360 or whatever that shows she takes this route constantly. It wasn't just hours or days before the murder. This was a constant thing that she did. And I don't know that was put up. Maybe it was on a cross-examination when that information came in, but this is not biased. The judge was given facts. There was nothing rebutting those facts. And he may not be able to understand it, but a lot of teenage girls, and this wasn't just, social media. A lot of us, when we're teenagers, think that we are going to be with, that the middle school love and the high school love, they are forever because we are so us girls are just like, we want to find forever. And in high school, a boy breaks up with us and we're like, oh, we're never going to find love again. Which is not true. You will. But people that are kind of toxic, like Mackenzie, she may not have wanted to go on without Dom. And if he was going to leave her, she could have been like, oh, you think you're going to leave me? No. You know, this is what happens when you try that shit. And she goes off the deep end and loses her mind.
Why was he afraid of the jury?
He wasn't afraid of the jury. He thought the judge would be a better gauge in this for whatever reason.
Were you aware? Because, you know, after she makes the decision, you can also change the decision before the proceeding begins.
Because she knows the laws and can put the
very
hoopla aside.
few people in your daughter's situation choose a bench trial. And even though statistically judges convict less often, it's because the cases that they do are usually hyper technical. And my understanding of the pleadings, and the lawyer has been very quiet about their deliberation process, was they thought they could win on the data. So the judge would be a better arbiter of that. And that to me was a gross error.
My understanding, because I wasn't in the court the whole time, the lawyer kept me out of the courtroom. He was going to use me as a witness. I would hope that he looked at the evidence.
Okay, Mackenzie's lawyer didn't keep you out of the courtroom.
Being a murder or being felonious assault. He didn't see any evidence. And
Mackenzie's lawyer did not keep you out of the courtroom. If the state asked for sequestration order of witnesses to not be in there if they were going to be called, that's not Mackenzie's lawyer telling you you can't be in there. So that you don't understand anything about the process. And maybe if y'all weren't a bunch of jackasses, you would have gotten to know the lawyer and understood where he was coming from. Because it is often a good thing to put aside, because I think the judge was probably a proper way to go on this, because the judge isn't going to care. I mean, she's going to care about it, but the judge isn't going to convict on emotion. Where a jury is going to be like, these two boys lost their life. No, she's guilty. All of that. No matter what the evidence shows, a jury could just put all that aside and think that she deserves to rot. The judge is going to put that stuff aside. The judge would have still been the one to sentence Mackenzie, so she still would have gotten the same sentence. Whether the jury or the judge convicted her, she was getting convicted, period. Would it have been a different conviction? I don't know. I don't know what the charges were and what the jury or what the judge was picking from. I don't know if manslaughter was on the table or what. I guess I could get that document.
Hoping that's what he saw. But hindsight's 2020 now. He didn't do anything for her. In fact, at the end of this trial, he told me to throw him under the bus.
The new counsel in their pleadings, at least, are arguing ineffective counsel.
Yeah.
Steve, I know you're done. I know you're dumb. But most counsel is going to say, throw me under the bus. when you argue this on appeal, if you have to argue ineffective assistance of counsel against me, throw me under the bus. Most defense attorneys will tell you to do that. So, yeah, because that's how appeals work. He was doing that and saying, do what you have to do on appeal, even if it means throwing me under the bus to try to get her a lesser charge, because maybe the defense attorney believes in Mackenzie. But y'all are so salty because things didn't go your way, which is probably where Mackenzie gets it. You're not appreciating this defense attorney.
Which is common, but I think that there is a basis here that could be argued.
Yes, he didn't put any of her medical records in. He didn't put any of the text messages that would have refuted some of the prosecution's evidence. He didn't do anything other than sit there and play with his pen. And mind you, I've never been in a murder trial. This is all new to me, so I'm not really sure how to gauge it. I didn't have a whole lot of advice from anybody. But he did nothing, absolutely nothing. The only time he did something was in the bindover trial when he was questioning the detective, and he had the detective reeling because the detective had to take a break because he was all exacerbated over it. He asked the detective at one point, "What do you think happened?" The detective's comment was, "I don't know." And I don't know why our lawyer or her lawyer didn't turn to that judge and say, motion to dismiss, because how does the guy who's finding all this evidence, all this hard evidence, not know what happened? Okay.
Did it surprise you that the bindover trial, as you're referring to it, for the people listening and watching, is the legal proceeding where you decide which court it's going to be in, juvenile or adult?
Yes,
and the decision here was made to try her as an adult. That surprised you?
Yes. Yeah. She was 17 when this happened. It was an accident. There's 4.74 seconds of black box information and nothing else. That's all it is. It's car information. It's nonlinear car information, which doesn't say what was happening in the car, doesn't say what her state of mind was. It doesn't say what talk was going on in the car. It's nothing. They've got 4 seconds of a minute and a half drive, and that's what they based this whole on. And then miscellaneous speculation on their part. Storytelling. They set a story, and just because they said it is evidence. That's what it amounts to.
No, because they can't tell a story without evidence. That's not how any of this works. And the data shows the no braking and the going over like 90 miles an hour. So that's where the intent comes from on the murder. You want to talk about if this judge was biased? She could have convicted her for way more than 15 years running concurrent. She could have made him 15 years consecutive, one after another. She put it as concurrent. So the judge didn't give her the maximum of what she could have got. She did convict her of the murder instead of manslaughter, and that is because there was nothing rebutting that this was not intentional. And if her counsel didn't do it, then that's what it is.
You know, they like the judge's summation. She went on and on. Oh, you're hell on wheels. You picked that road. You woke those boys up. My daughter didn't do any of that.
How do you know?
It's just not true. The judge made up a story for her summation, and based on what the prosecution's narrative is, and none of it's in the evidence. It's just not there. There's no hard evidence that says prior content or prior calculation, intent, or purpose. It's just not there. It's not there. And my understanding is you're a lawyer, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Prior doesn't have to mean days and months in advance. Intent can be within seconds. Had she slammed on her brakes or at least tried to brake, that would have been in her favor. If she wasn't going so fast. And the fact that her driving was controlled prior to it. Had it just been crazy erratic driving, period, that whole night, that actually would have been in her favor. She was just reckless driving. But she was driving controlled and proper up until she decided to slam that foot to the ground and ram into that building. Hit a curb, hit a sign, and hit a building. Without braking, without slowing down. When she was slowed down before this. That's your intent. She had motive, she had means, she had the opportunity.
I've talked to several lawyers, and every single lawyer has said that the prosecution's case was weak. And unfortunately, in Cuyahoga County, binding over, I guess, is you need this much of maybe evidence to get it bound over. My daughter's case should have never left that juvenile court. She should have been charged with two counts of vehicular homicide, and that's it. And that's it. Simple
Well,
as
at least
that.
they think
It's
that she
actually,
should be charged.
statistically, if you look it up, a couple of things. It's easy for anybody to say anything when it's not their case. Hindsight's 20/20.
Yep.
A bind over trial, most juveniles get tried as juveniles. It is the exception that they get bound over into adult court because there's a presumption that kids can be rehabilitated in a way that adults cannot. They did not find that with your daughter. What does that mean to you?
I'm not finding it after
They
disciplinary
should
records
have.
and her attitude.
Why? They should have. There was no evidence to support the charges. There's none. There was none.
She was acting like an
the
adult.
prosecution came up with that.
She was living
she's
like
a
an adult.
Dangerous society and blah blah blah, and there was no proof of that. They said that she had no remorse. They never spoke to her. I mean,
So one quick thing.
They don't have to speak to her when she keeps making jail calls and laughing it up with her mother. When she's dressing up like a corpse in honor of Dominique and Davion. Her attitude shows there's no remorse. Natalie's attitude, your attitude, shows there's no remorse. But I'm glad you think she should have been convicted of something. No, and they can't describe POTS accurately because I don't believe there's any medical documentation or proof that she was ever diagnosed with it. And if there was, then the defense should have handed that over in discovery. Because the state didn't have anything. Also, put on a representation. Put on somebody that can explain it. But even if she had it, you can't blame POTS. I don't care necessarily about her going to the concert, Sharon, because, you know, like she was still a teenager, you know, getting her out of the house, stuff like that. I know people think that, you know, people shouldn't just go on living their life. But at that time, she was just doing what teenagers do. Well, she wanted them to take her license away. And I don't know that she was driving during this time. Maybe she was. I don't know.
And then we'll keep going about what the evidence was and why. Look, if they had brought in that she was intoxicated with the THC, if they had gone to a jury trial, if she had testified, this may have been a very different situation.
Yeah.
However, those decisions weren't made. But just so people know, is that your wife that I'm hearing who's with you there?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, look, that's totally fine. Tell her I said hello. She is welcome
She
to
can hear you.
join. She's
Yeah,
welcome to
she can hear
join. I didn't want to box her out, just so you know. I'm
She-
welcome. If she wants
she's
to
my
talk, she's
producer.
welcome.
She's sorry. I don't mean to smile or make light of this. She's my producer. She,
No, I get it.
She doesn't want me to say something that.
Natalie's your producer. You need to fire her. Natalie is not a producer. Like, oh my God. What the hell is this? And Chris keeps saying, oh, intoxicated with THC. That argument wasn't going to work because they looked at that. They looked at the THC investigation to see if maybe that would be a reason for this. But her level and everything, it is just her daily level. And she has tons of TikTok videos of her driving and behind the wheel and smoking a blunt in the vehicle. So her being on THC and driving when she drives all the time, high or smoking a blunt or something like that, she does that all the time and she never gets into the car crashes or kills anybody then. So that wouldn't be the reason for this. Now, if she was smoking it for like the very first time, or she got something that was laced with something else, which is why they did a toxicology, because they were thinking, okay, she had shrooms on her, but there were no shrooms in her system. I don't recall if they mentioned anything about alcohol being in her system. She wasn't drunk. They tried looking at all that stuff. But she had THC in her system, which she has in her system all the time and is used to driving and doing it all the time and nothing happens. So when Chris says, oh, they could have raised THC, THC wouldn't have been valid. You could have raised it. I think it would have still been a loser. I know plenty of people that drive high and they're driving fast. It can slow your reaction time, but not enough to where you're just not braking going the speed you are and going into a wall.
Okay.
She is free to say whatever she wants, however she wants. And if she wants to join, that's fine by me. I'm just putting it out there. Steve, just to explain who we're hearing. Look, we all know the folks.
Damn it, Chris.
This is by overboard. Back to you as a parent, because we're not in a rush here. So,
okay.
The allegation was, okay, you did it your way. 17-year-old living outside the house with a 20-year-old, unusual. 17-year-old gets in trouble at school, known as a bully. You don't seem to care. Those are the suggestions about her. They sicken you. Why?
Because it's not true. She wasn't a bully. She wasn't a bully.
Maybe to the people she didn't like, or maybe the people she liked.
Friends. Period. That's it. She wasn't a bully. That is just
kids disagree in that school.
And it's a lie. I can't even. It's frustrating to hear it because I can't prove it, and you can't ask her because she's sitting in jail.
You could be able to prove it
on whenever she wants,
but there's nobody to prove it.
It's just not true. It's half of a story or part of a story, or it's just not. It's not completely true.
Were you aware of what was said in the documentary from the school experiences of how she was described by some people, and where do you think that came from? I can't explain it. Look, was she an angel? No. Did she
have a problem with authority sometimes. I believe when she felt she was being unjustly treated, she stuck up for herself. That's the simple fact. And the
You don't get to have
documentary,
fisticuffs with teachers.
anyways, that documentary, they weren't necessarily honest with us and what they were going to use and how they were going to portray us in that documentary.
They didn't
Some of
portray
my
you
comments-
anyway. You chose to do it. You chose to do this documentary. And I think this documentary actually leaned more in Mackenzie's favor because Rosie and Bubba and y'all were all on Mackenzie's side. You don't have that in the other documentaries. This one actually was the kindest one to you. You portrayed yourselves out to be the idiots you are. Lord. I don't care if she thinks she's unjustly or wrong with a teacher or with a cop or anybody. The time is not then to start doing shit to authority. Don't be handling it like that. You're always going to have people in your life. That's what high school and school teaches you. The teachers are like your boss. You're not always going to have a boss you get along with. That doesn't mean that you get to cuss them out or fight them with your hands. You can't act out and say shit to like judges and police officers. And I get it. I've heard, police officers, they're just a person. They have a badge. They go home just like everybody else. But in the moment, if you're getting pulled over or you're doing that is not the time to be disrespectful and hate the authority. If something was done wrong, then you can deal with that later. But don't get yourself in more trouble because you want to be like, fuck you, fuck this. Fuck everybody. I do what I want. Nobody tells me what to do. It's just not how you behave. And your friends and stuff at school and the people that you have in class, whether you like the people in your class or you don't like the people in your class, is to teach you how to deal with coworkers. Because some of your coworkers you're going to like and some of your coworkers you're not going to like. The hours of school teach you what it's going to be like when you have a job. You need to show up on time and not be tardy. You're going to have to wear the dress code according to your work, whether you like it or not. You're going to have to behave accordingly. Your homework and your assignments, when those are due, those are deadlines and things that you've got to do. And the extended amount of school and the hours is because you're going to have to work those type of hours when you start working in the real world. All of those, while we think they're so stupid as teenagers, they really and truly are to prepare you for what comes in reality. But hey, if somebody is being mean to you, no matter who it is, tell them to fuck off. Fight them. It's one thing to stand up for yourself. It's another to be just blatantly disrespectful.
Which all my comments were true. Anything I said, I meant. But they were part of a longer dialogue. They were part more of a, it wasn't just, I just didn't spew that statement.
I understand.
There was a reason that statement came out. Okay?
Well, this is unedited. It will air in full,
Okay.
just as it is, which is why I wanted to explain your wife's voice, just so people know. The documentary, something that I keep hearing, and I'll be honest, it didn't register with me when I saw the documentary. As you can see by what I'm wearing, I don't think that much about clothing. But you wore a T-shirt that said "Boom"
I did.
in a documentary about a car crash.
No. Well, I wore a shirt that represented a YouTuber called Drip Drop from Crime Circus, and this guy or this person on this YouTuber has been supporting my daughter right from almost from day one. He puts posts up all the time saying that she's been mistreated and there was a lack of there was an injustice involved, and he puts all kind of stuff out there. He's been an advocate for the past 3.5 years. So it was my way of saying thanks. It had nothing to do with the accident. It had nothing to do with the boy's death. And if it's me being colorblind or insensitive, that's not what I was doing. I wanted to shout out to this guy or this kid or this person saying thank you. Because this guy about 6 months after the trial, he posted 4 or 5 videos. They were interviews with the detective from Strongsville and the Flanagans and some of the friends of Dominic's and Dominic's mom and Dominic's brother. And they were not in discovery. They were not in any of the discovery. They were not there. Okay. And all of a sudden we see these interviews, and in the interviews, all of them said that she has a problem passing out, or there's a problem. She has some kind of passing out problem, and the detective ignored it. And at some point, Dom's mother says to the detective, "No one's going to see this, right?" And the detective says, "No, I'm not putting these in evidence." That is on the Crime Circus. There's 4 or 5 videos.
Nobody's gonna see these. Okay, so Crime Circus reports on this shit, which Crime Circus also thinks Koberger is innocent. But Crime Circus is a lunatic. Does he do research and that? Yes, but like he goes in depth and stuff, but his way of getting to things is crazy. And he always seems to take the other side of what is majority, which is fine sometimes. You don't even know who this dude is. And you are like, you're just supporting this dude just because he supported Mackenzie. You know nothing about that dude except for what he puts out on content creation. I'm sure you probably talked to him in real life, but don't be putting strangers on pedestals. That is not the time to be making it's just so weird. Like, you can go look up Drip Drop, True Crime, whatever on your own, but he's bizarre.
4 or 5, maybe 6 videos that were either leaked to him, or the detective put them in after the fact, thinking nobody was going to look at them because the trial was over. So,
well, but there was also nothing offered
Bruce,
by counsel in the defense case in chief about your daughter having POTS in a dispositive way from a prior diagnosis.
Yes,
which made it look like an article of convenience.
I know that. I don't know why Jim McDonald did that. I have no idea. I don't know what his plan was. This lawyer.
Well, is the answer, Steve, that he did it because there is no prior proof of her having POTS?
There is prior proof. I witnessed it. My wife witnessed this. She's got the medical documents we gave him had it in there. The people in those 5 interviews said something.
Did you give him any documents from a medical or clinician that said she is diagnosed with POTS?
Yes.
Do those medical documents have a doctor that actually diagnosed her with POTS? Or is it she's self-reporting because Natalie thinks she has POTS, and so we're just going to say she has it to doctors? But I don't have POTS. And I've explained in another video, I had what is called orthostatic hypotension, which is very similar to POTS. And maybe that's what it's called now, but it wasn't called that when I had it. I think I had it because of a medicine I was taking. And so what would happen is when I would sit or stand, and it doesn't even have to be you doing it very fast. Like sometimes people just every once in a while, they sit up or stand too fast and they get a little bit dizzy or whatever. That's not what happens with this. I mean, that can, but it is where you pass out. You can't walk, like you physically fall, you can't do anything. And I would have this. And even no, it doesn't. But they're saying that POTS could be the reason that this happened. Maybe she passed out and that's why her foot was down on the gas, or her Prada slipper, maybe it got stuck or something, but it was underneath the pedal. I don't know. But I had just where I was in ICU, and I would get 10 minutes a day to at this hospital visit to sit up from laying down position, which is very uncomfortable in a hospital bed. And so I would get 10 minutes a day. And if my blood pressure and heart rate stayed good, I got to continue sitting up. And if it bottomed out within that 10 minutes, it was back down, and I didn't get another chance at it then. But it's not going to it's not going to stiffen you. Also, it is from changing your position. And so when you're driving in a car, her position isn't changing. She is sitting. She didn't go from laying down to sitting up unless she was fucking with her seat and doing that shit when she was driving. But POTS is not going to be a reason. You can say she has POTS all she wants, but there was no position change to make this occur, because that's what triggers it. It's not you're just walking or sitting and then all of a sudden you just pass out. Like, it's me sitting right now, it wouldn't be like, oh, you're going to pass out. No, because my position hasn't changed. So this is just a line of BS that they want to try to push. And they say nobody put it in. Well, the defense attorney should have put it in if there were medical documents that were not self-reporting. And we talk about self-reporting in the Owens case quite a bit. For those of you that follow that case with me, it's just BS that he wants to try to spin. And the appeals court doesn't give a shit about it.
Yes, and the
From-
police
From after or from before?
before during the bind over, Jim McDonald gave us the access to all the discovery, the discovery portals for Cuyahoga County, and my wife, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-laws, we all went through that stuff night and day, and so we had it in the interviews that were leaked on Crime Circus weren't in there. We gave him all kind of files. The detective only got her medical records from the day of the accident forward. He never went and got from back behind. So,
And you're saying that medical records from before the date of the incident.
absolutely.
And can you help us understand in what context did a doctor or any clinician ever diagnose your daughter with POTS, which for the audience is, again, a blood pressure related, heart related tachycardia, which can
it's also
cause
in-
dizziness?
It's in here. Let me.
Post them.
It's in the detective.
Post them online.
He knew about it. Posterior osteo.
Detective's notes is self-reporting. Somebody saying Mackenzie has this. That's not proof that she has something. So, like, if you have this proof, then show us. I'm so tired of people saying they have all this proof and they have it and it's this and it's this. Then show us. Shut your fucking mouths and just put it up and let people be like, see, here it is. It's still not going to be a valid defense, but it would quash that piece of information. Also, my thing, which sucks, is I have low blood pressure already and I have tachycardia. So the medicine that they gave me to try to control my orthostatic hypotension, I had to get off of, because while it was lowering my heart rate, it was also lowering my blood pressure, which was not good either. So I had to get off the medicine for that. Doesn't sound like she was on any medication for this, if she had it and suffered from it so bad. Also, if she suffers from this and she's passing out all the time, maybe it's not POTS. Maybe it's the fact that she doesn't have much nutrition in her body. Maybe it's that she drinks and does drugs. We don't know these things. We don't know why she passes out. Her blood sugar could be low because she needed some carbs.
So orthostatic
Tachycardia. Tachycardia.
Which is
What it means is that those are fancy Greek words for that when you're in a standing position and go from sitting or vice versa.
It's not just a standing thing. It's
right.
Not just, it's
when
it's
there's a
any time
movement.
thing.
When there's a movement in posture, orthostatic
It's
means
blood
a
pressure.
change from being
Blood
straight.
pressure. Mhm.
Your blood pressure can go up or down and give you dizziness.
Yeah, has to
So
do
there
with
are
your
two
heart.
questions. You're saying one, the answer to the first one is yes, people knew she had it before this,
Mhm.
which raises the question, then why was she allowed to drive?
You can drive with it. It's like epilepsy. There's not a she was
There's
doing things
absolutely
to control it when things happen. Water,
things.
salt pills. So but that's what was going on. We were never told. No doctor says she can't drive. It wasn't an issue, even though the prosecution turned it into something.
You turned it
Well,
into something, sir.
The prosecution didn't deal with it because that's not part of their case, that this happened because of POTS, because they didn't want it to be an accident. Their case is it was intentional.
But it wasn't.
Now, when you say that with such conviction, is that because your daughter has ever explained to you or your wife that something happened in the car?
No, she does not remember. That has been her story from day one. There's no memory of it. And I'm telling you, I know my daughter does not like pain. She would never, ever hurt herself intentionally. It's just not. I know my daughter. I've known that kid all her life. I know when my daughter lies. I just know my daughter. Do you know your children? I mean, can you tell when your children are telling lies or aren't being honest with you? Look,
I'd like to think so.
Okay, well, that's how I am. I believe my daughter is painfully honest, and my wife just said she's painfully honest.
Has she ever passed out before and had no recollection of anything that happened?
Passed out and didn't remember? No. Passed out and been in an accident? At least one time. Okay. I can't speak for her memory loss.
After that one, she shouldn't have been driving then.
And had an episode and had a car accident?
No.
Oh, that's what you just
She's
said.
only been driving for a year.
Okay, I'm sorry. I misunderstood you.
Yeah, she's passed out. She's had a couple episodes here at the house. She's had them with her friends. And all her friends have said it happens at school. I mean, at Dom's house. I mean, it happens. And I do not know why Jim McDonald, her lawyer, didn't use it. I don't understand. I'm dumbfounded why that lawyer chose not to do anything other than click his pen and sit at that desk.
And when you talked to him and said, "Where's the POTS stuff?"
I think
what did
POTS
he
should
say?
be the same way, Sharon.
He said this is his words. He
There's
didn't
Natalie.
even turn in. He told us after one of the dates that the judge is not buying it. That was his word. The judge is not buying it. That was his.
Yeah, because nobody's going to buy that POTS caused this. That would be a stupid defense. Because it's not going to make you do that. She could have it. I don't know. But even if she had it, that is still not going to be the cause of this. Lots of people have different conditions. They don't make you do these things. Just like autism doesn't make you fake a pregnancy and lie to men for decades. POTS didn't make you drive radically and kill 2 people. It's just nonsense. And like I said, if all that was in there was self-reports and not actual evidence from somebody who diagnosed her, it's not going to matter. They should have maybe taken her to a doctor and gotten a workup. Called a therapist that says she has this. But if it's all self-reports, you can't bring that into evidence. It's hearsay. That's why it's not being brought in.
That she has a diagnosis. That was his description to me. And if I would, in my hindsight right now, if I'd have known, I would have fired him immediately.
He thinks it's relevant, Bruce.
Yeah, we didn't know he didn't turn stuff into after the fact, So I mean, there's some things we didn't know. I mean, are we bad parents? No. Are we uninformed parents of a child that was on trial for murder? Yeah.
I love me a true crime junkie, Miss T.
What does that mean?
She had 1 day. She had 1 day for defense. He did 1 day, and he didn't do much during her trial. I mean, it just wasn't there. I mean, I don't know what he was.
There are rules of evidence, Steve.
In my
maybe
opinion,
you should have read those.
Never be allowed in a courtroom again. I mean, it's just unfortunate that he did nothing for her. I mean, that's my opinion. That's my opinion. 2020 after this fact.
I agree.
What did he do? So I mean, he did nothing for her.
If there is a legitimate basis for prior knowledge and existence of a diagnosis of POTS, that should have been in the evidence, and that's something that you guys should make sure is in the appeal, because obviously the judge had every reasonable basis not to buy it because she didn't have it in front of her in a way that seemed to be demonstrated before the fact.
That is in her post-conviction appeals now. It's in the post.
Right. No, I know that because I've read the pleadings. But the other thing that the lawyer left on the table, so to speak, is the intoxication. No alcohol. Okay. THC. Yes. Limit. Tough to know. They messed with the sample. They didn't preserve it. But we all know it was in her system. It wasn't argued as diminished capacity.
That is absolutely true.
Not that
idea
Bruce.
Of why she was taking so much drugs. This is what you get hammered for in the documentary, where you were like, "Yeah, I know she smoked a lot of weed. I was okay with it." Do you still feel that way?
I knew she was smoking weed. I didn't know she was making videos and in the car. That's the stuff I found out after the fact.
How do you not know she's making videos in the car? People, know what your kids are posting online. One, especially if it's illegal shit, because that is self-snitching, as Bruce Rivers likes to talk about. Stop posting illegal shit online. That's real easy to prove that you were doing illegal shit. Why don't you know what your daughter was posting? And I don't believe for a second that Natalie didn't know. Because Natalie wants to be Mackenzie. She wants to live vicariously through Mackenzie and be one of the cool teenagers. So I don't believe for 1 second that they did not know that Mackenzie was posting that bullshit. Oh, they were liking her posts. That's great. I also need to go and look at Plunder because I learned about Plunder from AG Tactical. And yes, rest in peace, Michael, who is Bruce Rivers' son. Yeah, all of that. I got emailed by Bruce. And apparently Bacon Bears got the same email as I did, which I just learned. So I need to go and look at Plunders. Let's see. Dear Dad says, there is a text from the dad to Mackenzie when she was 15 years old telling her he just bought her a new bong. He's lying about not knowing about the drug use. No, I think he knew about the drug use. I think he knew about all of it. He's just lying. No, this is not Bruce the Moose. This is the Bruce we love. He's the nice Bruce. Only antlers.
Daughter's behavior.
I blame myself. Could I have advised her better? Sure. Like, do I think it would have made any difference? I don't know.
No,
I don't
I mean,
I'm sorry.
it could have.
I
It might
don't
not
have
have,
a
though.
problem with the marijuana use. I'm sorry. I just don't. It's a battle that I would never win. How am I stopping her? Was I going to lock her in her room and never let her out of the room? Was I supposed to go with her everywhere she goes? Could I took the car away? Could I there's just
Yeah,
so
you could
many
have taken the
factors that
car
have nothing
away.
to do with it.
Again, I'm judge Steve. I'm not judging you or your wife, but just I don't know how much of the audience are parents, but you and I both know, as does your wife, the answer to every suggestion you just made is yes. That's what we do.
No,
I told you not to drink with your friends. You drank. Now you're not going out. Oh, you did it again. Now you can't drive. Oh, you did it again. Now you're not going anywhere for a week.
We have grounded her. And
that's why
argued over it.
parenting can suck. That's why we're not their friends.
And hold on just a second. The thing is, Mackenzie was 17 at this point. Could he have done it in her younger years? Yes. I went to therapy when my daughter was acting a fool. While my daughter was doing her stuff. And one of the first questions I asked was, what do I do? Because I do want to just lock her up and allow her not to go anywhere ever. But you can't necessarily do that because they'll run away, they'll do all this stuff. You can't do that. A lot of them will rebel further. Also, it's happening on a school bus and on school grounds. Well, she has to go to school. And so, they talked me through this thing about, just do it in steps. Ground her for like a week or two where she can't go anywhere, she can't do anything. Then make it to where she can go out for the day, but she can't stay the night at anybody's house. Then, make it to where she can do an overnight over the house and then work your way to a weekend away. And then if she messes up, you start back at that 1 to 2 weeks of grounding and you start it over again, the day and then thing, because you do want to lock them up. And then eventually, after I did a lot of things and we went through stints of rehab and counseling and medicines and all this stuff, I eventually said, fuck it, school is the problem. And I took her out of public school. Got her away from the people with the attitudes. Got her away from all of that influence. And things improved so much better. But no, can you protect them? Like I've talked about, I have a grandson. My daughter was young. Didn't happen in my house. But could you can't keep an eye on them 24/7. And so if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. We've all done things behind our parents' back. The thing is what are you doing to try to stop them, to try to help them, to prevent them, to guide them on the path? You're just do whatever you want. And we're not going to talk about it because there's no problem here. No, there is a problem. I don't know if it's legal or illegal in Ohio. In Texas, it's illegal. And so, you know, at 18, yeah, they can do whatever they want, but am I still going to be like, if you have it, don't be driving with it. Don't be going out high. Like, you still guide them if they're going to do stuff like that. Because you don't want to be caught. If you're going to do it in your own home, you're going to do it in your own home. But you be a parent. And yes, my daughter could not stand me during that time. I didn't give a shit. It was what I was doing to try to make sure that my daughter came back to me every day, that she didn't end up dead, in jail, in a ditch. It's shit you have to do. Parenting is hard. And you're not always going to get it right. But you have to do something. Stop trying to be your friend and be the cool parents.
I agree, totally agree. I've taken her door off her room. I've taken her phone, all her electronics. I mean, this kid is not unpunished. Okay,
Yeah, and she probably fought you, yelled at you, and you gave it back.
On our daughter, yeah. Did I give her what I could? Yes. I gave her things I didn't get when I was a kid. That's just me being a parent. I love my kid.
What? Go ahead.
Not enough.
I love that kid. There was not a problem with her until this accident and how it got blown out of proportion and how everything now is so blown out of proportion. It's, mind you, nothing that I'm doing or saying, nothing my wife has said has anything to do with the prosecution not having any evidence to support their charges. That's it.
They did have evidence supporting their prosecution. And yes, Mackenzie was a problem long before the accident. Her driving and smoking weed at the same time, that's a problem. Her getting into fights with other students and teachers is a problem. Her possibly, allegedly selling drugs is a problem. So I'm sorry, sir. You can fuck off by saying the accident is what caused all the problems. No, that's you not taking accountability. That's your daughter not taking accountability. And that's why we're here. That's why she's not going to be paroled at the 15-year mark. And the reason he probably uses his fits or fights and is a bit scruffy is because he doesn't know how to use his words. Nobody taught Steve how to use his words. We see he's not very good with words. And he probably uses his fists.
Okay, it's just smoke and mirrors after the trial. Anything that
it's not smoke and mirrors.
Parents, we entitled her. It has nothing to do. Me not caring that she was smoking marijuana with her boyfriend and her friends has nothing to do with that accident. It has nothing to do with it.
Do you think the documentary filmmakers had an agenda? Do you think that they were out?
I believe they did. I believe they misrepresented themselves when they spoke to us. I believe they came in with a set idea of who my daughter was and who we are.
And you're a dumbass if you didn't realize they had an agenda.
Once they started talking to us, I think we gave them other stuff to look at, but in the end, their editor and the way they produced it went against what they said to us.
Oh, they should have had Natalie as their producer.
My understanding is the families had editing control during this documentary because they were able to view it prior to it hitting the air. And my understanding, and we weren't allowed. Yeah, we weren't allowed. So
then you should have negotiated your contract better with them before you signed. You should have said, I want editing privileges. Or we're not participating and you can't use any of this shit. But y'all are dumbasses.
like I said, I believe they had an agenda and they did it. And that was a mistake on that was a mistake on our part because we believed that they wanted to be an unbiased, fair platform for us to give our story out. And if they would have used the 3 days they interviewed us stuff, I think there would have been a different light on that documentary. It would have looked different. There would have cast some more light on.
Well, if it was going to be anything like this, I'm glad they didn't use it.
And the narrative that they put out is just that,
So
a story.
you have what they have, and you have the narrative. We'll put that in 2 pieces. The
Well,
first
let me
point.
ask you this question before you go. What do you think they have as evidence?
Okay, here's the problem for the defense with this case. There is an unusual amount of objective data about what happened after that right turn was made and
There's
until
the slow
the car
turn
struck the sign.
controlled.
And
Actually,
She used her
that's
blinker.
Hold on, that's
Well,
not true.
Steve, let me explain why I say it.
Let me explain because I've looked at all this evidence. They got her
Me too.
turning. They got her turning on the road, the right turn,
Yes,
blinker, blah blah blah. Right?
yes.
We agree?
Nice and slow.
Nice and
Yes.
slow, like a normal. Okay. The road is a cut through.
Mhm.
In Strong's order, it's a known cut through. The detectives, even in their notes, state as much. Okay, it is a cut through. Now there is no evidence from.
Okay. Let's talk about detectives' notes. Okay, Steve. That means that somebody said to them that it was a known shortcut, that somebody told them that. Detectives are not putting their own things in there. They're putting what people told them in there. And it was your defense attorney's job, and maybe this is where they were ineffective, to put that evidence in. But just because the detective's notes have it in there that somebody said it doesn't make it true. Something being written doesn't make it evidence. That's what you don't understand. You can sit here and say this shit all day long, but if there is no evidence to back that up, it means nothing. Nothing.
Just after the turn to 4.74 seconds prior to that car hitting that wall, there's nothing. There is absolutely zero evidence.
Yeah, because that's how car data works, sir.
There's no cabin recorder. There's nothing. And mind you, I'm not saying
There is
the
her
reason
phone
for it.
data,
I'm not
though.
saying the car had an issue. I'm not saying the boys did anything. I don't know. I have no idea.
The car was checked and it didn't have issues. They looked at that during the investigation. There is no evidence that the boys did anything. Didn't show any of that. Her phone data didn't show things. The car data didn't show things. But there are video cameras and what the phone data did show. That's what you have to go on. And you have a Mackenzie who says she doesn't remember anything.
What happened in that car? And if I don't
That
have
is
any
the
idea,
car.
nobody does.
I
And
understand. Now, the problem with
everything-
that, in terms of the judge, is I don't remember anything from Mackenzie. If Mackenzie gets on the stand and remembers everything and tells any other kind of explanation for what happened in the car,
She could
this
have.
may have been different.
Yeah,
But her
sure.
saying, I don't remember anything, is a suspicious answer to people in my
I
business.
think it's an honest.
It may
answer.
be.
At any time, she could have
It
said,
may be.
Dominic attacked me in the car. Deviant
may-
attacked me in the car.
That's true.
There was
She
no
could have done
proof of
She
that,
could have
though.
threw
That's
both
true.
of those kids under the bus. Okay, and I'm not saying that happened. What I'm
Right.
saying is there are many possibilities that could have happened from that turn to 4.74 seconds when that black box turned on.
Yes.
And that black box information is nonlinear. It doesn't record. It records bop, 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 bop.
Yeah,
Okay?
when it's triggered.
And we had a car expert look at it, and he says,
I
well,
know.
maybe she could break at this point. She may have broken between the 2 points. And our lawyer her lawyer had that information too and chose not to use it. Again, I do not know why.
Just
the lawyer
because
chose
somebody
not to use
says that
what
doesn't mean it's
resources or what
reality.
information we did have.
Understand.
And maybe
I
you should have
understand
put a
what you're
car
saying.
expert
This
on.
is why I answered that they have data. Okay. You're right about the EDR. Why?
He just doesn't
That's
believe
the
the
way
data.
an EDR works,
Mhm.
is that after there's an impact,
Yeah.
it keeps only that small window of data.
What happened? My understanding of what happened is the car was coming down the road at a good clip. I can't explain the speed. Nobody's going to be able to explain the speed because nobody alive other than my daughter was in that car is alive now.
She had her
And
foot to the
again,
accelerator. That explains the speed,
let me
sir.
say this because I'm going to get nailed.
You don't have to be in the car to know that.
Don't worry about the reaction. Worry about the authenticity of the statement. That's all that you control.
I feel for those two boys. I'm heartbroken for both two boys. And
Doesn't
if I
seem
can give
like
my
it.
life, like I said right from the start, I gladly give my life for those two boys to be here today. Okay. I've never been more torn during an event. How do I feel grief and remorse and pain for the families and for the two boys? How do I do that? And then feel happy for my daughter because she's alive. My daughter's lucky to be alive. And I know people are going to go, good. Okay. Look, my daughter's lucky to be alive.
She is lucky to be alive.
Walking. She's lucky not to be a vegetable.
I agree.
Okay. She's lucky. She's the luckiest.
I agree.
And she struggles
Those
with
boys
that.
weren't.
I'm torn. It's horrible. It's a gut wrenching feeling I have every time it comes up. And that's all I've been thinking about for 4 years.
No, you've been thinking about how to get your fucking daughter out of jail for 4 years. You haven't been thinking about those poor boys for 4 years. But there is a way to want the best outcome for your daughter, but to be respectful and have empathy and sympathy for what the Flanagans and the Russos are going through for those boys. You don't give a shit about what they're going through. You only care about what your daughter's going through. That's it. And the way that Davion and Dom's family see it is, yeah, Mackenzie is lucky. You're lucky you have your daughter. They aren't so lucky because of your daughter. There is a way. You just don't have the capacity because y'all are too self-absorbed.
And now I have to think about my daughter being unjustly charged. And then every time I open my mouth and say it and point to where it is, I get
Agree.
people questioning,
He needs to go to
that's
therapy
a
if he has
lie, or you're
survivor's
making
guilt.
that up. Why didn't your lawyer use it? Look, if you want to know why the lawyer didn't do it, you need to talk to the lawyer. The lawyer, in hindsight, is a terrible lawyer. And he shouldn't have it. He should not be able to practice law ever again, in my opinion, after what he did to my daughter.
Just
because
you're entitled to it.
If you don't like somebody, that actually gives them more credibility with me.
Experience, obviously, almost 30 years, and watching the evolution of event data recorders. That's why I say EDR. EDR is event data recorder.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Here's what she had that made it compelling about intent. And you don't have to agree with this. I don't have to.
I'm not going to, because I kind of feeling what you're going to say, but I disagree with it because it.
So okay, go ahead, Steve.
I'm sorry. No.
I'm here for your answers and opinions, not my own. Go ahead. Why don't you like the assumption that all the data they had indicated a constant acceleration?
I can't explain the constant. There's a picture with her slipper on the gas pedal stuck underneath the brake. Could have been the car. The car has a history. Toyota's cars like that have a history of that gas pedal accelerating. Okay,
that's been looked into. That's not accurate.
That's what happened.
Not on that model.
I don't know. What I'm saying, it's a possibility. And if it's a possibility, how do you rule it out that it wasn't? You got that.
It's not a reasonable possibility.
The car was out of control at some point. The car thought it was flipping over, and the black box turned on. This is prior to the crash. This is prior to it hitting the sign or hitting the wall. The car, black
Nope,
box.
her
turned
car
on.
never did have that
The car
challenge.
thought it was flipping over. There was a steering wheel right to left or something. I don't have the right. It went the right to the left to the right, something like that. And then both side airbags deployed prior to that car hitting that sign. And I don't know if anybody knows what a side airbag explodes like. It's not like I'm in a pillow fight at a sorority house. It's not like poof. These are explosions, and then there's powder everywhere. And mind you,
No, I don't think anybody ever thought airbags were like
anywhere.
pillow
Now,
fights in a
she
sorority,
may have,
sir.
this may be a folly of things that went on. It may have been medical. It may have been the boys. It may have been my understanding is the boys and her had taken shrooms that night, which I had no idea about after the fact. Yeah, my understanding is the boys had shrooms in it, but it could have been anything. I just don't.
But that wasn't
know.
in the
I can't
toxicology
say,
reports.
Well, it's most certainly
It wasn't in the
cops, or
autopsies.
It's most certainly the car, or it's most certainly the boys, or there's no evidence to put a finger on it. And if you can't say that this is what happened, then how are you charging her? How are you saying? Oh, now. Sorry, one more thing. In the documentary, in between the reflection videos and Tim Troop walking down the hall,
him and Gingras should have a conversation.
He's saying, we looked at everything and ruled it out.
Yeah,
so
that's probably what caused the black box.
We
Come on,
ruled everything out, and I'd like to know what information and what evidence they actually used to rule everything else that could have happened. So
it was in Discovery, sir.
That's him talking and saying
it was also in the documentary.
We just want it to be murder. It's like the analogy is here: the wife dies, the husband did it. That's it. That's the analogy that's going on here. There's no
that's not how any of that.
There's no evidence of why.
Sir, that's not how that goes. It's not every time a wife dies, the husband did it. Do they look at the husband first? Yes. But there are times the husband gets ruled out unless he's the one who did it. That is not what happened here. You make no sense. No sense. He thinks that if you don't have 100% proof, video evidence, and you weren't in the car, you shouldn't be able to charge his daughter. And that's just not how it works.
Never be any evidence of why. And that's the point that needs to be taken here. That black box information is about the car. I can't explain the acceleration. I can't explain why the pedal was down. Could it have been the slipper stuck on the pedal? Could it have been the car? Yeah, it's just as likely as she did it on purpose. And there's
her
no
slipper is underneath, not on.
And speeding is not a precursor to murder. It's not.
You can't even say precursor.
It's recklessness. It's reckless. That's why it should have been vehicular homicide, or if worse, reckless vehicular homicide in the juvenile court, which is what our lawyer said it should have been. The one time that's what he said.
Or it could have been manslaughter.
When they bound it over.
They just didn't bound it.
Let's look at the other side, right? Because there are two sides, at least, in every trial, which is why they're so compelling. You have two invested storylines. The narrative of the why comes into the relationship between Dom and your daughter and perceived threats, etc. And there were other texts.
That's a lie. That's a lie. I'm going to cut you off. Sorry. I got to cut you off. That's a lie. That is a lie.
How am I lying?
Volatile is not the right word. That is harsh. These kids fought and they broke up and they got back together. That was their MO.
That's a volatile relationship.
This wasn't a volatile relationship. They were never, ever going to break up. They were talking about getting married. They were talking about a life. They were buying furniture for that house.
Teenagers
They were making a life for themselves. Period. That's it.
Maybe that's what Mackenzie wanted.
They weren't. No, look. This has been thrown on me. They were not breaking up. And anyone who says that, sorry, that is untrue. That is a lie. And that is a narrative.
He tried to break up with her several times, Steve. And they got back together. They were toxic. I think you need to go get you a dictionary and learn how to pronounce some words. Also, go look up what volatile means. Because it is definitely a volatile relationship. I don't know what he thinks it means, but it doesn't mean this. And this was somebody that was teaching students. Yes, it was about art. But who knows what other wisdom he was putting out there towards these kids. Jesus.
That the prosecution needed to go to put my daughter in a bad light, to make it seem like she had.
They didn't need to put your daughter in a bad light. She did that on her own.
This kid, she would have told my wife, and that never happened.
Okay, Steve.
Because my
I'm
wife is
telling
her best
you
friend.
what the prosecution's case was.
Well, the prosecution's case is based on lies. And
All
the
right,
narrative.
that's your opinion. What I'm saying is that's what the trial
Nobody
is
can have a
for.
different
Fact. I
opinion
think
from
it's
Steve.
fact, because you can't get.
Well,
there's
if
no
it
evidence
were
of
a
lie.
fact, if it were a fact, you got to remember, I'm a lawyer, right?
Yeah,
If
I
it
get
were a fact that they lied, then she would not be in prison. So it is your opinion
yeah,
that
facts
they
aren't
lied.
disputable.
Unless there's a fix or a conspiracy.
Okay.
This
Nancy
is not the
Margaret
Karen Reed
Russo,
curse,
who
sir.
shares the same
Michael
last
Proctor
name
was
as
not
the
on this
that's-
bull.
case.
But they're not related.
Oh,
Steve, they're not related.
They're not blood related.
here. Listen to what he says about Russo. The Russo family are not related to every Russo out there. Here's his conspiracy. Dominique's Russo's. He's the Russo, his mother.
Conspiracy
Okay.
with Nancy Margaret Russo, who shares the same last name as
But
the bull.
but they're not related. Then Steve, they're not related.
They're not blood related. There's a relationship. My understanding is that Christine Russo is in her court all the time. They have a working relationship. The Russo family's big. This is a fix.
Do you have any proof that they knew each other in
I
any
have
way?
as much proof that it's a fix and that the judge is dirty or incompetent as they do that my daughter did this with purpose. All I have to do is say it, so it's true, right? That's what the prosecution did.
No, that's not what the prosecution did. That's not what the judge did. You're an idiot and you're not willing to hear anybody else's side but yours. This is why you don't have any knowledge, Steve, because you don't shut up long enough to listen and learn. Just because somebody has the same last name as you does not mean that you're related. Just like if you are the same color of somebody, it doesn't mean that you know each other, or you look alike, or you're related.
Well, she's breaking. They did.
No, they have standards in two cases, right? The charging is probable cause, very low. Lowest standard we have. Probable cause basically means it's a 50-50. So charging is a low bar. That's why you can indict a ham sandwich.
Oh, wow.
This is not about possibility. It's about probabilities. That's what beyond a reasonable doubt means.
Well, there's a lot of reasonable doubt that was ignored.
So let's talk about why. What the judge saw, assuming the judge isn't dirty, and again, there was an appeal that was rejected, and then the Supreme Court didn't take up the case.
To me, Cuyahoga County's, like, I can't speak for an appellate court that brings up an illegal procedure in a trial, and all they do is slap the prosecutor's hand. The prosecutor illegally changed the coroner's report from accidental to homicide in between the bind over and the thing. And the appellate court brought attention to this and then just went, oh, don't do it again. There's so much wrong with how this was handled, how it was brought to trial. I'm sorry.
Well, I would like to see what the appeals court actually said, because I'm not taking
is ever going to
this.
make me believe that my daughter did this on purpose. Show me that evidence. And if you're going to say the black box says she did it with purpose, that is speculation.
Steve, I haven't said it because you haven't let me say anything, but that's okay. I understand why you're so upset about this, and you should be. I can't even imagine how I would be, and I got 3 kids. And they're all driving.
Don't tell me should be upset.
Here's what I'm just trying to explain for the benefit of the
You
audience.
should have said he can
flesh out the
be,
issues.
but not that he should be.
The judge was presented with evidence that the car went from a very casual turn of a corner to 100 miles an hour.
I'll have to
There
look
were
at that,
no
Whiskey.
skid marks before a known intersection.
Oh, there is actually skid marks. There are actually skid marks. Right
not in
before
the trial record. not in the trial record. In the trial
Yeah, but
record, they
It's on the
presented
body
evidence.
cam. It's on the body cam footage of the police.
But I'm saying that they don't see any
Fresh skid marks
This is what the judge
on the body camera?
Well, again, my take on
But-
that is that the judge
I know,
has
but
a
Steve-
relationship with the Russo family, and that is why that judge made her decision on day one. She did nothing but open mail and do
Steve,
busy
the
work all
problem with
trying.
a trial or the blessing of a trial, depending on how you look at it, is we only know what you can show. And what they showed was this car went from slow to very fast
Why?
with no real turns through a
Why?
sign.
Because
and
your
into a
daughter
building.
was
But
driving
that
it.
was all
Why?
stated there and not countered by your case.
Yeah,
Again,
defense
that is
needs to
why
poke holes in
the
it.
lawyer. There, I don't know if you can see. If you can see, there's the skid marks, right there. That's from their. That's in the discovery, right?
Right.
That's the body. That's from the body cam footage. Look, I can't
We'll look at that.
explain the speed. Kids
If
being
we
kids,
can.
I can't explain. Was it the car, or was it the boys, or was it her? There's 4
But
possibilities.
none of the data suggests anything happened with the car. And there's not even a suggestion of any real braking.
Well, you don't know that because there's no information from 4.74 seconds back to that turn.
Right. But that's a lot of time, by the
At
way.
4 seconds, that's 100 feet or
Yes,
less.
but I'm saying 4 seconds.
4
No.
seconds
4
when you're
seconds
going at
is a
100
long
miles an
time.
hour
Listen,
A fat
I
guy
wasn't in
can
the
run
car.
a
from a
40
curb
yard
hitting to
dash
that.
in about 4.7 seconds. You know what I'm saying? That's a long time. 4.7 seconds.
I don't know.
Going
Well,
at that rate of speed of acceleration.
not in a half a mile, not in a half a mile road. It's not. That's
All I'm saying, Steve.
None of us-
Again,
no,
I'm not
none of
here.
us
I'm
were in
not
that
here.
car.
I'm not here to make the case. I'm
None
here
of
to
us are
test the case.
God.
And
We
I'm just
couldn't
telling
see
you-
it.
and I'm arguing that your data and what you're using as data is not completely reliable.
I'm just
that's
using what was presented at trial.
I know what was presented at trial, and that's what I'm having fault with, and that's why I have fault with the lawyer. That's why we are making an appeal. That's why we'll never stop fighting this because something
Exactly,
is wrong.
Angie.
Hey,
He's
this is
delusional.
4 years, and this is still going on.
It's gonna
there's
continue going on until your
fundamentally
daughter corrects her
wrong with
behavior.
How my daughter was tried, and I don't care what's in the trial transcripts. I don't know what my lawyer was doing, or her lawyer, not my lawyer. I don't know what he was doing. I have no idea.
The
it makes
appeals
no
court don't
sense
seem to
me.
think there's anything
And
wrong.
to have a sitting judge,
And y'all
who has
haven't been
in
able
the
to
trial
prove
on
anything
on that bench for as long as
otherwise.
she has, not to be able to decipher fact from fiction. Okay, her summation, everything she said, has no evidence whatsoever. There's no support in the evidence whatsoever. It's just not there. In fact, there are people that even said that 2 things didn't happen. Okay, I don't get
give
it.
a shit what
I don't get how
people
a sitting
said.
judge who's supposed to know the law and understand the law come up with that kind of summation. This is personal.
Well,
her
Probably
her
because you
summation-
don't know the
summation-
law. You don't
submission
understand
was
it.
personal. It wasn't legal. It wasn't black and white. It was personal. And the way she
Her
interrupted my
appeal's
wife when
been
my
going
wife was
nowhere.
pleading for my daughter's life or for
All right, we're gonna back that up because he talks about when Natalie was interrupted, and why the judge was so personal, that it was so personal to the judge. This is his version of what he thinks happened. Now, we watched in my first Mackenzie video, in Natalie's interview, what she said at that hearing. We'll watch the full hearing, the full sentencing video in another video, but this is his interpretation of what happening at sentencing to his wife.
interrupted my wife when my wife was pleading for my daughter's life or for pleading for my daughter. That's what a mother should do. And to have my wife vilified for saying, look, give mercy to my kid is wrong. And look, this case is wrong from top to bottom. The way they arrested her, how they arrested her.
She was
from the
not
detective in
vilified.
Strongsville omitting evidence in interviews, from the prosecution making up a narrative and finding ways to make her look bad. And when all the evidence they have, any evidence, is 4.74 seconds of nonlinear black box information. That's it.
It takes you 4.74 seconds to get words out.
And she turned on the road. That's it. That's the only evidence they have, and that is car information. Nobody was in the car. You weren't in the car.
His wife was not vilified by the judge.
This, and this. What I'm saying is something happened in that car prior to 4.74 seconds.
Remember,
and I don't know
the reason you don't know is because your daughter says she doesn't recall.
Well,
that's why we don't know. That's why we have to piece it together. Because the only person who can tell the story says there's nothing to say.
So I should go tell my daughter, hey, remember something, and say Dominic Russo and Davian Flanagan.
I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not telling you to do that.
Saying. I'm hypothetically speaking here. So nobody believes my daughter. She had a femur broken. She had a fibula broken. She had broken
Nobody
ribs.
knows what he means because he doesn't say anything. It's
liver,
kind of like the inbred comment.
Are damaged.
She meant embedded.
Face. I don't know how this kid survived. She got hit in the head. You can forget. I don't get the reasoning. Oh, it's convenient that she forgot. Well, that's the truth. I would think if my daughter meant to kill this kid prior to that accident, she would want to kill him now. And she hasn't shown any of that. For 3 months, I watched my kid.
If she wanted to kill Dom ever, she would want to kill him now. Sir, he's already dead. What are you talking about? And yes, could Mackenzie really not remember what happened? Sure. But it's interesting that she remembers other things, but not that. She does not have the type of amnesia that comes with trauma like this. And other things that she says and things like that shows that she does remember. So will we ever truly 100% know if she fully remembers what happens or she only knows bits and pieces or whatever? No, we will not 100% know. But it also, people, because y'all have a lack of credibility, can also think that it's a convenient excuse not to remember. It is also true that she could have blamed it on the boys. And I think at one point she may have tried to. I know in another incident she did. 146 feet per second at 100 miles per hour. And I love your profile picture, Oral Owens. Yeah, watchdog group.
Cry herself to sleep, all beat up in bed, watching videos and music and pictures of this kid.
Well, she still had the airbag stuff.
For 3 months.
And your mind can do crazy things with traumatic experiences.
The prosecution has no
I think she
right
actually does
she
remember what happened.
There's no evidence that she wasn't.
What about the social media solicitations and what looked like she was trying to build her brand?
That she wasn't trying to build her brand.
She wasn't trying to get modeling contracts?
Fabrication and part of the narrative. She went to
Steve. I'm just pointing out.
There's
what
proof on Instagram,
on social media, and the DMs that they showed.
What DMs exactly did they show?
The DMs of her talking to different brands. Thank you for contacting me. I'm excited to work with you.
Oh, okay. She was in the process of becoming a model, so she was working with people. Okay, and a couple days after, she was supposed to do something with the modeling. And hold on.
Natalie's got to edit his words.
That was something about a collaboration that was prior to the accident. That was something that was involved prior. It wasn't okay. That some of that's taken out of context. It's blown out of proportion. What is she supposed to?
See, that's not what Natalie said on the interview she did. She said it was because people were calling her murderers in the comments. Or maybe that wasn't what she said in her interview. She said it in the sentencing hearing. People were calling her a murderer, and she wrote something. But that's not the story that Natalie had prior. So now this is the story. Yes.
Dig a box or dig a hole and just hide in the hole the rest of her life after this?
No, but it was right after.
Well,
yeah, she was still in the hospital.
So she's not allowed to live? She's lucky to be alive.
I'm not judging it, Steve. I'm telling you what is out there.
I don't care. Listen, I don't care.
Used for the narrative and giving you a chance to explain it or contest it. But that's the job.
But it's not true. It's not completely true.
I don't know whether or not it's true. I only know what was said. I'm asking you why it was said and what it means and why it is an indicative that she had a nonchalance right after this.
It's not nonchalance. It's life. It's life. 3 months later, okay, being that the police and the courts never.
That was not 3 months later when she did that.
Never charged her with any car. She had a job interview, so we let her drive 3 months after this thing. So we let her go to the interview, which she got the job. Because what is she supposed to not do anything the rest of her life over this? Is she supposed to just turn away and shut up?
Why are you letting her drive after this if her POTS is that bad? It caused a wreck.
A lot of
she shouldn't be driving.
And it's
that's your story.
That the internet is allowed to run rampant with their nonsense. Okay, I don't care what anybody says about me. I'm a big boy. I can take anything they say. I don't care. I really don't care. Unless you're in my boat, I don't.
You do care. Because if you didn't care, you wouldn't be out here running rampant yourself. And nobody wants to be in your boat, Steve. It has holes in it. Did you buy the boat from David Gingras? Just asking.
Care. Sorry. Say what you want. Make little memes. Blah blah blah. Go crazy. Okay. I don't care. You have fun. Okay. You're the people out there are what's making this continue on and on and on. But the problem here isn't what I did. It's not what she did after the fact. It's what the court did.
They put her in no therapy for this either.
What the prosecution did to her, and it's the lack of evidence that is
from my
there.
understanding.
Now, black box information, sure. If you got the car did this, the car did it, put the car in jail, but you have no evidence of why, and you can't just say, "Well, the science says she was going fast, so that's intent." That is absolute BS. Okay, and many lawyers that we've spoke to have agreed with that. I would think,
but not the appellate court and not the Supreme Court. Oh, listen, hold on. I came into this saying to you, Steve, listen, I didn't cover this, okay? And I didn't because, it was a tragic circumstance.
Did he say put the car in jail?
You got evidence. It's what the court did to her. It's what the prosecution did to her. And it's the lack of evidence that is there.
No, now, it's what she did, her actions.
Sure. If you got the car did this, the car did it, put the car in jail. But you have no evidence.
He did. He said, if the car did this, put the car in jail. I'm sorry, what? What do you mean put the car in jail, sir? It wasn't a Tesla. It was not a self-driving car. So, and it's not the car's fault. Also, bad cars don't go to jail. They usually get destroyed. And this is not Disney cars where the cars are characters doing their own thing, like a Mater or Lightning McQueen. The car is controlled by the driver, in which was your daughter. And so the operator of the vehicle is in jail. I mean, sure, if you want to put the car in the jail cell with her, I mean, she could have a race car bed or something, but no, we don't put the car in jail. Who even says shit like that?
Of why. And you can't just say, well, the science says she was going fast, so that's intent. That is absolute BS. Okay.
Oh, yeah, because science is bad.
Many lawyers.
I wonder why they
that
don't
we've
want you as a
spoke to
teacher at their
agreed with
school.
I would think,
but not the appellate court and not the Supreme Court.
Oh,
Listen, hold on. I came
problem.
into this saying to you, Steve, listen, I didn't cover this, okay? And I didn't because, you know, it was a tragic circumstance, but there are lots of tragic circumstances, and you got to make choices in my business.
Gotcha.
But now that I'm analyzing crimes, I gave it fresh eyes. And the fact that they didn't argue diminished capacity when she had THC in her system, the fact that they chose a bench trial, and the fact that they did not put on any significant case in chief for the defense is why the judge had the opportunity to decide as she did.
Yes, I
Yeah,
agree.
it was
I
the
agree with your
suitcase's
assessment on
fault
what the lawyer did and did not do.
Its
totally
zipper was
agree.
broken.
Yeah,
Put the zipper in jail.
This is where our dilemma is. We need help fixing this because there was a problem here with the lawyer.
Oh, yeah, let's
But
go
you
past
have
the
new lawyers
Shirilla, the
now.
Killer Bill.
Why did the appellate court and the Supreme Court refuse to acknowledge all that you're saying?
My understanding is this is how it was. This is how it was addressed.
Your understanding
to me
isn't great.
The first set of lawyers.
Comprehension is not your strong suit.
That we're not going to get any relief in Cuyahoga County because that is how Cuyahoga County is. Okay, right, wrong, or whatever. I don't know why.
Oh, yes. Your county, out of all the counties in Ohio, there is no relief. You don't get appeal relief ever. I mean, you can't even actually file appeals. Like, just once you're in jail, you're just in jail and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, you're not even allowed to put up a defense. Like, you just get no relief in his county. There's just no relief if there has been something done wrong. An illegal error has been made. Just nothing. And Miss T, I have seen some of them. I haven't done a deep dive into them. But we will.
By the appellate court brought to attention the illegal proceeding of changing that coroner's report, and then never did anything about it. Okay, I don't know. You have to ask them
because they
I
didn't
don't know
believe
that
it
it's
was reversible error, meaning that they may not have followed the strict procedure of how to do it, but the findings were there.
If it would have been a jury, it would have biased the jury. If the judge wasn't already biased, it would have biased the judge. That's where the problem goes. Mind you,
it doesn't matter if it was listed that.
I believe she was already biased before she walked in that courtroom. And she said, I don't have a blood relation. And that's, to me, is all it takes. She has other relationships with that family, and that's it. And
your daughter has other relationships too.
Fact, when this first happened, we had heard on the internet, mind you, this is what I heard. Somebody sent a note or it was posted someplace that
you've heard a lot of shit that's not true.
Sorry.
What is that?
It's my phone. It's a phone ring. Anyway, sorry.
That's your ringtone.
That ringtone tells us everything we need to know about you, sir, and why your daughter is the way she is. That's your ringtone. As a grown-ass man. This is not somebody we can take seriously. And this is why your family is a joke.
It's for a friend of mine. It's a
Okay.
friend. Sorry, I don't mean to smile. I'm not making light of it.
Steve, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to go through these.
But I'm going to be judged. It's not you that I'm not that I'm worried about it. It's what I say and how it's going to be taken. This will be a
Well,
meme
then
somewhere else. I'm not smiling because I find this
act
funny.
accordingly.
I'm not smiling, and I find
You're the
this
one who chooses to act like a
asinine that this is
dumbass.
going on, and not that I'm talking to you.
Yes,
Everything
Chris
that's been
Cuomo.
said and done is just unbelievable, and just it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Stupidity is a choice, Steve.
I just don't get it. And it's just smoke and mirrors to hide the fact that my daughter was unjustly charged. And we can argue this till you're blue in the face until someone can
I'm
show
not
me.
arguing with you. I'm asking you for your perspective on it. Do you believe that your daughter has any responsibility for what happened?
She was driving. As a driver in Ohio, you have responsibility. Yes, she was a driver. But if she had a heart attack,
put the car in jail.
Hypothetical, if she had a heart attack in that car that caused this accident, is she
We have a
responsible?
very different situation.
Yeah,
it's an
this
accident.
is not
I'm
the
using
same
this as an
situation,
example.
sir.
And it's an accident.
Okay, what if she did? What if we could prove that her POTS caused her to pass out and she seized, and it caused
Then
the
it would be an
accident?
accident.
Just
What
because
if
you
we
have
can prove
POTS
that the
doesn't
two
mean you
board-
have
the board-
seizures.
Either one board or the
and
other
you
board
haven't been
did
able to
something
prove
in the
it.
car that caused the accident.
Then she would not have the intent, and maybe not the act to trigger a charge.
What if we can prove that the car malfunctioned?
But you
This
haven't
is hypothetical.
proved
I'm
it.
not s-
Then
There
it
is
was an
no
accident.
proof that the car
And maybe there's a
malfunctioned.
case against the manufacturer.
Okay, so with those 4 things or 3 things that I brought up here, the POTS, the car, the boys, the other, okay,
But none of them happened
those
in this
4 or
case.
5
There's no
things, or
proof.
a combination of several, she wouldn't be responsible. Yes, she should have been charged with vehicular homicide. She's the driver of the car. She has the responsibility as the driver. Listen.
But
If
she's
you
the
can prove to
victim.
me that
Mackenzie
she
is
did
the
this
victim
with
here.
intent and purpose, then she's right where she belongs. I get it.
That's what they
It's
get from the
horrible.
texts where she says, I feel like killing someone. I want to bang my head against it. Dom saying that he needs space. Her saying no.
That's not proof of intent. That is, how many have you ever
That's
said to
proof
anybody,
that they
"Oh my God, I'm
had a
gonna kill you"?
toxic, volatile
Yes.
relationship,
Okay,
and they weren't going to
and
last
if they
forever.
died, should you be charged with murder?
No, but I'd have to explain it.
Okay, it's an analogy. I don't know how many times I've probably said, "Oh my God, I'm going to freaking kill you" over something stupid. It doesn't mean I'm going to kill you. And some of the stuff they used against her, like the
Yeah,
thing that
but-
happened 2 weeks before, the supposed where she threatened to crash the car, that didn't happen. She did not threaten to crash that car.
How do you know?
Russo, because we've got text messages that state otherwise. My understanding is that
Yes, there is a text message from hours later when Mackenzie was trying to CYA, cover her own ass, so that Dom's mom wouldn't be mad at her. Because Dom said that she's driving the car erratically, probably because she was pissed up. They got into an argument. Dom wanted somebody to come get him. And she said, I will crash this car. And then shortly after, she did crash this car. It's just, he's so exhausting. Okay, we're going to speed this up at 1.25 at least, because this is a long ass interview.
they had an argument in the car. Dominic grabbed the wheel. It almost caused the car to crash. So my daughter pulled over, told him to get the hell out of the car. And then there's text back and forth with Dominic's mother, my wife, stating it. I could send those to you if you'd like to see them. They're in the,
Sure.
they're in. Okay. I could send them to you. I can't
They're
do it
out
right this
there.
second. Yeah, I know that. And that is what happened. And then we got him apologizing, this and that. So he did that. That was not my daughter. And then Christine, in the process of my daughter saying, come get your kid or she's going to call me, she sent this guy named Christopher Martin to go fetch him. In the trial, Christopher Martin perjured himself, and he said that he went to get Dominic. He was driving, and I don't know how he got from where he was living to that car to get behind them to hear her say that is a lie. What happened was they were already pulled over. Okay, Christopher Martin pulled up behind her. He says that he was on the phone with Dom. He was not on the phone with Dom because in the interview that are on Crime Circus that the detective did with Christine Russo, she says, I was on the phone with Dom until Christopher got there.
Right.
Okay. That's true. That happened. That is a fact. Okay.
No, you're only taking things as fact
he was on the phone with
that
Tom.
you
He heard her say,
believe.
I'm going to crash this car. Then they pulled over. She was already pulled over. In the text messages that my wife and my
I
sister-in-law,
don't give a shit where she was when she said it. She said it.
State that, and the prosecution knew it, and still put Oh yeah, I mean, let me call him Hench, because this is the felon that lives in Christine Russo's basement. Okay, so a sitting judge took the word of a 7-time felon. Our lawyer did nothing to counter it, because
that's your problem.
I
you say it now, but it didn't happen in trial.
And that's why we're arguing this. I should have been arguing this right from day one. This is where
no, you should not be arguing anything, because you make things worse.
My daughter, a witness perjured himself on the stand. How do I fix that? There's no way of fixing it, because I got a judge, because every appeal goes back to her court. It goes back to her court, and she gets to decide. And the reason she's not going to go against her, because her ego. Okay, and she's biased. She's either biased, she's on the take, or she's
when you appeal, it will go to other judges.
No,
and if
no,
they order a new trial,
it goes right back to her court. So if the appellate court would have said this is going to go back to trial, it goes right back to Nancy Margaret Russo's courtroom.
Right, but then you would argue that she's got to recuse herself.
Well, we did that. We did it at this trial because of the last name, and she said,
"I know, but that's not
a blood relation." And it was.
That's not a thing. I mean, there are a lot of people named Russo.
Yeah, but not in Cuyahoga County. They're all related. And I'm sorry, if it's not with Christine Russo, it's with somebody else that's connected to her. Look, again, I have just as much proof that there's a conspiracy or a fix or a favor that they have that my daughter did this with purpose. Sorry, that's it. And if you don't want to believe it, that's fine.
No, listen, it's not about what I believe. I'm here to give you an opportunity to say what you mean and to test why you believe it. Okay. And that's what I hope you understand that I'm doing. What just came out from what came out from TMZ, where they grabbed audio from prison phone calls, where Natalie is criticizing the family of Dom's family, calling them evil. What is that about?
Let's see. For 4 years, there hasn't been a peep out of them for the most part. My understanding, there's a half sister, a Christine Russo Jr., and I don't want to talk bad about the family at all. I understand their anger, and I understand they lost somebody, but to go online and badmouth anyone who's defending my daughter.
But y'all do talk bad about her.
Bad to me, okay? And my wife was talking to my daughter, and it was a private conversation. I won't say it's a private conversation. It's a conversation between my wife and my daughter. And
yeah, they're not private conversations.
It has nothing to do with anybody else.
Stated on
and
them.
It's unfortunate that the Russo family or others have been saying the stuff they're saying. Again, nobody knows my wife. Nobody knows me. Nobody knows my daughter.
Thank God.
To make past judgment on us is just narrow-minded nonsense from internet trolls. I mean, hey, make your podcast, say what you want. Again, it's unfortunate. And like I said, I feel for the families. I don't know what they want me to do. Should I wear a black dress and a veil the rest of my life? Look, I'm sorry Dominic and Davion passed away.
No, because that would be just as tacky as your daughter's Halloween costume.
It's tragic. And I can't imagine their pain in that. I can't. I'm sorry. But
yeah, you don't even try to.
At some point, I have to defend my daughter. My daughter who was wrongly convicted. If she would have been charged with vehicular homicide and put in 5 years or whatever, then she got what she deserved. There's no proof.
I doubt you would even be saying, and you wouldn't be saying that.
Dies when you're in a car accident, and there's no other answer. And there is no other answer in this case. Just because you want it to be murder doesn't mean that it is. Just because you don't like my daughter doesn't mean she's guilty of murder. Just because you don't like what you see on the internet about my daughter doesn't mean that it's murder. That's speculation. That is reckless.
No, the evidence proved it.
Anybody's part. Mind you, I don't know what happened. I don't. I wasn't in the car. And unless you were in that car, you have no business saying you know what happened.
Lori Vallow said the same thing.
Video said, I ruled everything out. Ruled what out? He didn't. What evidence did you use to rule things out? He was going for one thing and one thing only. The detective.
No, he wasn't.
4 days later, had
That's
one
proven
idea what it
in
was.
the documentary.
He wasn't looking anywhere else. He wasn't finding any other information. Okay, that's not. The detective had a one-track mind. And
what else was he supposed to be looking at except for the people in that car and the car itself? And the car can't go to jail, sir, as much as you would like it to. A one-track mind. They weren't looking for another suspect. He looked at the black box data to try to see if there was. He went to the manufacturer to see if there was recalls and different things that were bad about that vehicle. He took that data. He had the toxicology report to see if maybe shrooms or alcohol could explain this. So don't sit here and say he didn't fucking do anything. I'll let this play while I answer a phone call.
The detective on the stand said, I don't know what happened. And the lead prosecutor, Michael Malley, is on camera saying, nobody will ever know what happened. So if the three main people finding the evidence don't know what happened, how do you charge somebody? I don't. Speculation is not evidence. It's guessing.
Speculation is not evidence, but probable cause is a very low standard, and they definitely had probable cause to charge. Beyond a reasonable doubt is a different standard. And the judge found it, and then you have the right to appeal, and the judge ignored it.
She didn't found it; she ignored it. She outright ignored it. Okay. When my understanding, when her lawyer tried to object to things, she just overruled. Is it overruled? When she?
Yes.
Okay. She overruled almost everything he objected to. Look, I don't know if he was just. Again, I don't know what he did. I don't. Hindsight with him, I just wish I would have chose a different lawyer. I wish I would have chose a different set of lawyers the second time for the appel. I don't know how, as a lawyer, you don't know how to read a calendar. Mind you, I don't think it was late. I don't think it was a day late. I don't think the second set of lawyers did a bad job. I think they were right on what they were saying. But for the prosecution to say it was a day late in a leap year when my lawyer didn't have all the transcripts available to him that were asked, and there's no leeway. Oh, it was late, so that's it. It's unfortunate.
Are you open to not being able to see this any other way because this is the love of your life?
Listen, I'm her father. I'm biased. It's my daughter. Any parent should be this way. But if you can show me actual evidence, not speculation, that my daughter did this with purpose, intent, or prior calculation, then she is right where she belongs. Now, the bind-over judge, the juvenile judge.
The intent is found by, this is what the judge said, the intent is found by the lack of her trying to do anything to avoid it and doing what caused it.
For 4 seconds in a car that was already out of control.
The car was not already out of control. Your daughter made the car out of control. You're not supposed to be driving them at 90 miles an hour or close to 100 miles an hour, over 90 miles an hour. Stop blaming this on the car. For 4 seconds, you can go quite a ways at the speed she was going. She was the one driving erratically. And she didn't do anything to stop it. She didn't lessen her speed. She didn't go the speed limit. Why did she speed up? Because she was pissed off? We won't know why she did it. We don't have to know why. We just know that she did.
Control that had side airbags going off. Yeah, that's all the information you got. We don't know. Nobody knows.
They didn't go off just driving normally.
Well, the scientific, the car was. You don't have any evidence from 4.74 seconds back to that turn, to that first turn.
Right. We just disagree on what that amount of time can reveal at that rate of acceleration, which I think is a lot, and you say not enough.
Our car guy said that the car was going fast. The car thought it was slipping over. The recorder went on. The airbags went off. The car
because it hit a curb.
Into the wall. She did not drive directly into that wall. Okay, mind you. I think she just lost whatever was going on in the car. She lost track on that road. That's what I find more believable than what the prosecution's narrative of the story was. It makes more sense to me. And we also have a medical examiner that looked at her blood work and her stuff that said so much it was probably a medical episode with POTS. We've got that, and that was in the.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
I think you had a better chance of arguing before a jury, at least, that it had something to do not with POTS, but pot. Because of the THC content that she had in her blood, and arguing diminished capacity and whatever else she could relay about the events, but that's not how it went.
Well,
she chose to drive the car the way she drove it. That's intent.
Okay, so that's what she says. So nobody knows what happened in that car. I can't. I can't make her remember. And mind you, she's never wavered in that statement. Why if you knew you were
Well,
going to
why
jail
would
for
she?
life,
She doesn't.
wouldn't you lie? Wouldn't you come up with at least a story?
She has
There's no
come up with a
witnesses.
story.
She's the only witness. Dominic Russo, Davian Flanagan attacked me in the car. I passed out. Someone hit me.
I can't explain it, but it certainly worked against her. I'll give you that.
Absolutely, because her lawyer did nothing for her, you know. And I this is why I feel it's a conspiracy. That's why I feel she was railroaded. This is why. Look, Tim Troop and Christine Russo are friends. Christine Russo worked in the prosecutor's office. She knows that she worked there. Don't tell me there's no favors, and don't tell me there's no relationship. I'm not saying blood. I'm saying relationship. There is a working.
Then there should have been. They said that they did ask to recuse, and she said no.
She can say I don't have a blood relationship all the time. The grand
The
jury
appellate
judge
courts
was a
didn't
Russo.
find that reasonable.
The bindover judge was an O'Malley. The prosecutors in O'Malley.
I know, but just because they have the same names doesn't mean the same thing. But I want to go back over one thing, Steve, just so it's a little clear for people because it got a little convoluted. The text chain, and you have a lot of information and context about it. This one particular part of Dominic's mother, July 17, 2022. It starts, you know all this already, but for the audience. Can you come get Dom? He just grabbed my steering wheel on the highway trying to spin out my car and hurt me. I'm scared to drive because it's raining, so I just need him to get picked up. If he doesn't get out of my car, I'm calling my dad, so please get him out.
Yeah, she
Hench
texted us after everything
Calm
happened.
down for something, for whatever. For now, please. To be honest, I can't calm down when he just
After
tried to end my
Dom
life.
called.
Then he lied to you about it. I'm not trying to diffuse for now. I'm not mad at anyone. And then the next one is, just to give everybody the record, I don't think he's capable of that. This is your daughter, I believe. When he keeps telling me to shut up and to duct tape my mouth, I don't feel safe. He is also threatening to blackmail me to my mom. He's not getting out of the car. He also blocked me, so I can't go pick up any of my belongings at his house. I hope this is a learning experience for him on what not to do to a woman, because I really don't think he knows how to treat them at all. Stop the fighting and stop lying. When he gets his things, you can get yours. And then there's one more. First of all, I'm not lying about anything. Maybe you shouldn't take his word so seriously. You don't know how he
called
treats
somebody
me
to
behind
get him
closed
out of the
doors.
car.
It's never okay to try to end somebody's life or put their hands on people. No one should touch anyone. No fighting for sure in the car. He never put his hands on you. This is the mom. You need to tell him that. He tried to end my life today and told me, do you want to die? I almost hit the wall and I could have died. And she says, and you haven't blackmailed him with the cops 100 times? This was a shitty relationship.
It was, mind you,
Volatile.
They were.
That was it. That's a shitty relationship, Steve. That's what the mother of the boyfriend and your daughter.
That's a shitty moment in a relationship. That is not how the whole relationship went. That was an everyday thing.
A lot of it was that way.
That's a fight amongst young kids who don't know any better. Mind you, I'm not saying it doesn't correlate to this. It doesn't mean the whole.
And you want them to get married?
Take my daughter to dinner. I watched him come over and cook for her. He went on vacation with us. He was at all our family functions. This kid treated my wife with respect. He treated me with respect. Now, I'm the dad, and I'm always the last one to know. I ended up having to go over to the house and get his stuff. And if I'd have known what had happened, there may have been bigger issues. But I didn't know this happened until after the accident. You know, what you just read, that back and forth. There'd be more to this, but Christine Russo lawyered up Dominic's phone so the police couldn't get anything off of it. And I don't know why she lawyered up that phone that way. So,
and that was Mackenzie, obviously, not your wife. That was Mackenzie and Dom's mom.
Yes, that's off of Mackenzie's phone. But there's also more with Mackenzie talking to my wife too about it.
Okay.
There's more to it. So it's Mackenzie talk. It's the text thread from Mackenzie talking to Dominic's mom, and there's a text thread of Mackenzie talking to my wife. So that the events that they used in trial didn't happen. That's Christopher Martin, aka Hench, because he gets things done, lied in court. He lied, and again, there's nothing I can do about it because the lawyer didn't do what he was supposed to do. And what am I supposed to do? Unfortunately, my daughter gets
I would like to see what the lawyer asked.
What the lawyer she had. The first lawyer did nothing for her. The lawyer strong-armed her into having a bench trial over jury. How do I fix that? His bad decisions, his inability to defend her hurt my daughter. Now, the second set of lawyers, being late, either it was or it wasn't, okay, hurt my daughter. The law firm doesn't get a slap on the wrist. They don't get fined. They get away scot-free. You know who suffers? My daughter. And if that could have got in, maybe she would be free. Maybe she would have got another trial. Okay. Now, you asked the question about the process of the appeal, the state level. The state.
I do agree. Her lawyer's fucked up on this appeal. And that isn't Mackenzie's fault. And that sucks. We can't be doing that. But lawyers know they're supposed to follow the rules. I mean, Sarah Boone has had certain issues herself too, but and I don't think they should be held against the appellate, because it isn't Mackenzie's fault. And I don't believe I don't know that they've hired this attorney. I think it's just appointed to her. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, the second appeals lawyers, yeah, they screwed up with that one. I don't know if there's anything else to fix it. I'm sure there is, but I don't know.
The Ohio State Appellate Court looks at that much. They don't look at anything really. The second set of lawyers says if we're going to get any relief in this court or in the courts, it's going to be at the federal level. That's what was expressed to us. We weren't going to get anywhere in Cuyahoga County because how Cuyahoga County works, and I don't want to call them corrupt, but wink, wink. The state only looks at
the county doesn't look at it,
and in a year, and so we have to wait to get to the federal. I got to get it away from elected officials, and that's what our lawyers suggested to us. We have to get it away from the elected officials or the elected seats on the court. So, like, again, I understand there's 4.74.
I don't think the U.S. Supreme Court is going to change a law
she didn't break
for Mackenzie.
It shows that the gas pedal was down and that the car was going fast. I get it. Okay. But that doesn't tell me why. And why is way more important than, well, the car was doing this. That black box doesn't say why. It never will.
You don't have to have the why.
I'm sorry if that upsets the families.
To convict.
I'm sorry if it upsets the families that we're trying to defend and free our daughter. That's my job as a parent. I love my kid. Okay. Am I being biased? No, because I got enough common sense to look at the facts, and I've looked at everything. And
you have no common sense,
gone
sir.
over it and talked to this person or talked to that person, hash this out. We are looking for help. We are looking for anyone that can help us. Okay. I'm sorry. I feel my daughter was unjustly charged. She was unjustly tried, and she was and I believe the judge made an error. I don't believe the judge acted in good faith. I think there's judicial misconduct in this case.
Well, you can think it, but the standard is whether or not you can prove it. Well, and it has not been done with any measure of satisfaction.
I think some of it I can prove, and if you don't have
evidence, but then you'll do it in court. That's the only place it counts.
That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get it back in court.
Have you done anything to try to get Mackenzie's memory restored? Have you ever tried any hypnosis or had her work with a memory specialist?
I'm going to say TMZ. Good old Harvey wants to. We talked about that. I don't know if that's going to do any good.
His name is not Harvey Weinstein,
and she's up to it, and her lawyer's up to it. Fine. I have nothing to hide. I don't believe she does either. I believe she truly doesn't remember. I know my daughter, and I know when she's not telling the truth. I can see it in her face. There's something in her expression, something in her eyes.
You don't care if she's lying or telling the truth.
I'm not asking you to. I'm just asking you to. I'm just giving you what I did this for, Steve, is I agree with you that I don't think that the case was about why to the satisfaction of anybody. It's easy to draw conclusions. That's the nature. That's the nature of humanity, is people judge. But I wanted to give people an opportunity to understand this in a different way and have a new set of questions. And that's why I wanted to give you the opportunity.
We're going to get some. They're going to look at this subjectively or objectively, and that's all I'm asking people to do. I don't want to change anybody's mind. Look, I don't want my opinion.
Yes, you do.
I want you to go look at what I'm talking about. And if I'm telling you that the detective from Strongsville on camera, on an audio recorder, he says, I am not putting this in evidence. When Dominic Russo's mom says, no one's going to see this, right? To me, that's an issue. That's an issue of misconduct. That is an admission of admittance. When the lead detective who found all this evidence or this speculation or this whatever says,
many people have looked at this and they don't see it your way.
You got a lead prosecutor on camera saying nobody knows what really happened. They don't know what happened. You got the prosecutor in the documentary, in between his reflecting picture, his glory picture, and him walking down the hall, says we ruled everything else out. I want to know how and what evidence they use to rule everything else out.
They told you.
I get what you're saying. And if you get habeas corpus and federal relief and they take the case, you'll have another opportunity for your lawyers to make this. But that's what the trial was for. The trial was to vet what the prosecution put up as proof.
I get it.
And why?
Well, the burden of proof is on the prosecution. And,
that's right.
And I'm going to say,
and they proved it, and your defense didn't poke holes in it.
Lawyer, I would hope did he look at the evidence as a lawyer and saw there's nothing here? They don't have a case of purpose or prior.
Well, look, I'm happy to talk to him about it.
No, he won't talk to you. This is going to make him look bad, and he's going to lose business.
But the only reason to go for a bench trial here is because you believe
This
it's
won't
a
make him
technical
lose
case and that
business.
you can win on the data, and that
Can
the
make him
judge will
get
understand it in a way
business
that a jury may not. That's the
because-
only thing that makes sense.
I wish I would have known that before it was done. I wish I would have had it. If I'd have known we can get that changed, I would have been all over my daughter telling her. I was surprised when it came back to me that, mind you, and I didn't find out that he argued with her, or you're going against my better judgment. And this guy's a big guy. My daughter is 90 pounds, 100 pounds wet.
Okay?
Okay?
Your daughter isn't scared of
just turned
anybody. Don't
18.
play
You know,
that my daughter's little.
she's
She's
still a kid.
scared.
And they have this big burly man argue with her that it's a bad idea. I'm sorry. They would have never found 12 people to buy the prosecution's case.
Well, you're not going to know now. I mean, unless you get a
No, I know.
retrial, because that was the decision that you
They
guys
had the
made.
whole
that's
internet
my
who's
problem.
not buying your case,
There's
sir.
so many things I thought
They would have
were done
found
wrong
12
to my daughter.
people.
I believe there's an injustice with how the lawyer acted. I believe there's an injustice how the detective left out omitted evidence and is on camera saying he's going to do as much. I have a problem with how the appellate court brought attention to in a legal proceeding and then did nothing about it. And the argument was it wouldn't have mattered. You don't know if it would matter unless it goes back to court. And you can't just say, well, it wouldn't have mattered. And for something to be a day late with a leap year and trial transcripts not getting there on time, that should have been taken into consideration. But again, I believe the appellate courts were just protecting one of their own. And that's my understanding of how Howard County works.
Again,
So
you can feel any way you want.
The
Administration
state
of
is
justice
not
about
your
only knowing what
county.
we can show. And I'm happy to offer you the opportunity
Well,
now
they
and
didn't show
going
any
forward,
evidence. Show any
Steve,
evidence
whatever
purpose.
happens next.
But they didn't show any evidence of purpose. There's none. And the evidence they did use is a lie. It's sorry. I don't know what anybody else wants me to say.
Steve, I don't want you to say anything. I wanted to give you the opportunity to say what you think and why.
And I am saying why and what. Okay.
I got it.
Okay?
And
I'm
it
sorry,
doesn't
like I
make
said,
sense.
I get what you're doing, and I
Blubbering
appreciate that the platform for it. But it is what it is. And again, until you can show me actual evidence, then I'm not going to believe it. Her mother's not going to believe it. Her family, my friends, and if the rest of the world wants to think she's guilty and hell on wheels and blah blah blah, hey, knock yourselves out. Okay.
Maybe
Like,
she
what do you
shouldn't
want me
be
to do?
convicted of
All that
murder.
matters in these
But
situations
she killed
is
these
what
two
the justice
dudes.
system says.
She
Well,
deserves to
not
be in
to
jail.
people online.
No,
But Steve,
15 years.
Again,
I,
justice
I am a
system's
call away
Or more.
for whatever happens next.
For
And
two
I
people.
will do just like I did
Sorry.
here. I know it's not comfortable to be tested on these things, but that's the job, and I'll offer the opportunity whenever you want.
I appreciate that, and if more comes out, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it. But like I said, if you want to vilify me for backing my daughter, go.
We're not vilifying you
stop
for
you.
backing
Go
your
crazy,
daughter.
okay?
It's the
Steve,
way you're
what it's going to
doing
be
things.
is what you and I just experienced here. That's what I'm putting out. Okay.
Great. Yep.
Thank you for taking the opportunity. Thank your wife as well. And again, make sure she knows I wasn't boxing her out from this.
No, I know. Well, she didn't want to be on camera. We
That's fine.
understand.
That's fine. That's her choice. Okay.
And I appreciate your time, God for me
All right.
this time. Thanks.
Steve, I'm here. You know how to get me.
Okay, we're good.
Okay. So that is the interview of Steve Shirilla. To me, he's a bigger idiot than his wife. And I want Mackenzie to have the fairest process. That's why I don't like that her attorneys turned it in a day late. And we can't bend rules, and he should have known what 365 means. He's probably been a lawyer for a while, and he's probably worked on leap years. But it's not going to make a difference at the end of the day because he has nothing to back up. And you don't have to have a why. You don't have to know the reason. She had the means and the opportunity, and the evidence shows that. And what he thinks are facts are not, because facts are not, you can't dispute facts because they are fact. And I still think he would be throwing this hissy fit, even if she was convicted of manslaughter or vehicular homicide or reckless vehicular homicide, whatever. I think he doesn't think his daughter deserves to be in jail, period. He'd be throwing this hissy fit, saying all the same things because he doesn't believe any of the evidence. And this guy was a teacher. It's just it's a tragedy. And they're not even trying to help their daughter. They're not. And he says he loves his daughter. To me, he doesn't love his daughter enough. Because if he loved her, he would be getting her help. And I would say that to my daughter when she'd get pissed off at me. Like, why do I have to go to do this counseling or do this and do that? Because I love you. And while my daughter and me went through a tumultuous time, my daughter thanks me for it now. And she is the same age as Mackenzie was when this happened. But that's going to be it for me on this, guys. This was a long one. But like I said, please like and subscribe. Follow me over on Twitter so if you don't get YouTube notifications, you at least know there where I'm going. I do have an Instagram. I'm not as good as keeping up with that and posting over there. I need to learn how to kind of do it with the video sharing. I guess I could just share the thumbnail and put the link in there. I don't know. But we will be covering more Mackenzie Shirilla stuff as I go through things so that we can look through them and discuss it together. And then I have a Womb Raiders video. I have 2 of those that are going to be coming out soon about people like Taylor Parker and the Maternal Instincts documentary on Netflix, as well as a Laura Owens video, twin pregnancy faker. So be on the lookout for all those, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.